Hey guys, I'm back with the next sleep video. The reason this is going up so much later than I hoped for, I hope to have at least two more up by now, is because I've been having pain in my lower back that goes down one leg. When it started, it was pretty mild, and I kind of ignored it. I thought, it's a muscle strain, it'll go away. I put off doing videos because sitting is uncomfortable. Lying or standing are much better. But it didn't go away, it kept getting worse. The other day, I could barely even get out of my bed, I could barely stand up. So I have seen a doctor. One possibility is a slipped disc pushing on a sciatic nerve. Pain going down one leg is a hallmark of sciatic nerve pain. So she started with an x ray of my spine, and when she gets those results, we'll go from there. And I'll let you guys know. It's not anywhere near as bad as it was the other day. So I figured I should just tolerate it and get a video done. Because I don't know if it's going to get worse again, if it's going to go on for a long time, so I might as well just keep getting things done, which is kind of my MO anyway. I keep getting things done. The other thing I want to tell you guys about, I had an eye exam, and the doctor was concerned because my eyes have deteriorated, I hate that word, so much since I had an exam 4 years ago. And one concern is high blood sugar could be causing that. So I had blood work done this morning, and I'll get those results and I'd go from there, I guess. Hopefully they show everything normal and there's nothing further to follow up with. The idea of high blood sugar and potentially diabetes, that's quite scary. I'll discuss all that when I do a video about food and eating and weight and diet and all that. I'll get to that. So let's jump back into the sleep stuff. So I left off with asking for a sleep study, or I should say wanting a sleep study. Right? So I went to my family doctor after I was having all these issues in college where I could barely get to class, I could barely function, and I asked him for a sleep study. And he referred me to a sleep lab, and I had the sleep study. And at a sleep lab, you have to sleep there overnight in a bed, and it's kind of like a crappy hotel. And they cover you in wires and stuff. They have monitors on your head to see what your brain waves are doing. They have monitors to see what your jaw's doing. There's things under your nose measuring airflow, things around your chest and abdomen counting breathing, breath, sensors on your legs to see if you're kicking excessively. And they do all that and they expect you to sleep. It's not fun. But I did it, I got my sleep study done, and then I went to get the results. And I always assumed that a doctor running a sleep lab would have some background, some knowledge in brain stuff, psychiatry or neurology, what have you. So I was so confused when I went to get my results, and I walk into the doctor's office, and it's full of pamphlets, sorry, about lungs and lung disease. And I found the doctor's card on the desk. He was a pulmonologist. A pulmonologist is a lung specialist, a breathing specialist. And as soon as I saw that, I kind of wanted to leave, especially considering how long the wait was, all these people ahead of me in the waiting room, and I kind of felt like it was going to be pointless, and I was correct. Um, Basically, all he said to me was, "You don't have sleep apnea, so nothing's wrong." It was like no other sleep disorder exists for this man. He kept reiterating that I don't have sleep apnea, or I didn't back then, more accurate, as you'll find out. So that's all he kept saying, and it was absolutely useless and a huge waste of time. So I basically, through word of mouth, asking around, I got the name of another doctor who runs a sleep lab in the area, and this one has a neuropsychiatric background. So I repeated the sleep study, and I'll explain in a second about the pulmonologist running a sleep lab. I'll come right around back to that. But I want to get into. So I had my second sleep study, and I had my appointment with the doctor later to get my results. Right away, this guy was much, much better. He actually knew about sleep disorders, and he had suggestions, and he didn't just keep repeating sleep apnea over and over again. He gave me a piece of paper with my results, and there were two things written on it. Idiopathic hypersomnia and delayed sleep phase disorder. So try and hold those in your memory, because those are going to be important. So he hands me this document, results of my sleep study. He prescribed a stimulant medication, which is used for keeping people with narcolepsy awake. That did not work. I went back for a follow-up, and he determined that wasn't working, and he took me off that med. And he kind of shrugged at me that there wasn't much else he could do. And at the time, I was kind of annoyed. I kind of felt it was useless. And I kind of moved on with my life without giving the whole thing a lot of thought. Now, granted, though, this was like 10 years ago. It's only been the last maybe 4 or 5 years where my physical health has deteriorated and I'm living in doctor's offices. Before then, I had experience with mental health from a young age and therapy and workers, and I know about that world. But this physical illness world was kind of new to me. So I don't know if it's because he didn't use the words, I diagnose you with this. I don't know why. I have no good explanation. But even though those two terms were on the paper, and maybe he did say something verbally and I'm not remembering, although I think that's unlikely. So I guess it's a little odd on his part that he handed me the paper and didn't say much. But those two terms on there, as I've learned much more recently, pretty much describe what is going on with me, which I will get into in more detail in later videos. I'm liking the idea of leaving sort of cliffhangers as I go through these, so people keep coming back to the next part of the story. So again, idiopathic hypersomnia and delayed sleep phase disorder. Those were the two things he mentioned on the paper that I now realize he was diagnosing me with, essentially. So hold those in your head, Google them if you want. More will be revealed down the road. This is kind of fun. So the other thing I want to touch on is why the first sleep doctor was so clueless and why the second one was so not clueless. What I found out after doing a bunch of Googling, the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario website is a great resource. It tells you what training assorted specialists need in Canada, among many other bits of information you can find on there. So I looked at that website. There is not a single medical school in Canada that offers any sort of residency or fellowship or training of any description in the specialty of sleep medicine, which is a relatively new field. I think the first sleep lab in America was set up in the 80s, but it's longer than my lifetime. It's not, brand new. Like, there are brand new fields coming out all the time. Like, now there's addiction medicine. So medicine evolves and new specialties come out, and everyone can't always keep up, but this isn't that new. Even 10 years ago, this isn't that new. So to my mind, this is ridiculous. So what's ridiculous? I'm sort of jumping around here. In Canada, to practice as a sleep medicine specialist, you have to come from one of a handful of other backgrounds, including psychiatry, neurology, and pulmonology. And then you have to complete X number of hours of practical training in a sleep lab in the field, and you have to sit an exam. That's it. That does not compare in any way, shape, or form to doing years of residency training and whatnot in a particular field. Also, the most common complaint in sleep labs is sleep apnea. Some of these rarer things, like I'm describing, or lesser known things, these people may never encounter in their training. So that pulmonologist doctor may be extremely intelligent when it comes to sleep apnea and may have literally never seen these other things that I'm experiencing in his training. So the reason that the second doctor I saw was so much more knowledgeable, he trained in Florida. In Florida. Wow. He trained in Florida. He's American trained. He has proper training. Now, to be fair, he's not actually truly a sleep medicine specialist. His background is neuropsychiatry. But whatever training he did do, I'm not entirely clear on. Whatever he did in the States, it's substantially better than what these doctors are getting in Canada. And so he actually knew the names of sleep disorders. He knew of medications. And the other thing I really like about him is the referral system is kind of dumb. That was a good sentence. When you go to see a new specialist, your family doctor has to give you a referral. And I feel like every single clinic makes up their own rules. Some want a new referral if you haven't been there in 6 months. Whereas his office, they actually don't seem to care. I went back, I don't know why I squeaked. I went back like years later when my fatigue got worse again. Every now and then, every now and then, whenever I've settled into a certain level of fatigue, it'll just all of a sudden one day be worse again. So, which is kind of what's happening now. So yeah, I went to see him again like years after that initial sleep study when I was having new issues, and I don't remember much coming of the appointment, but I was just impressed because they didn't ask for a new referral. And as a matter of fact, I have another appointment coming up with him on Monday, 2 days from now. All my appointments are pretty much on the phone right now, so I'll be talking to him on the phone because I want an opinion on why my fatigue has gotten worse again lately. Although, if I have high blood sugar, that could be the cause. Um, my pain specialist, who I went to first with the back pain before I went to my family doctor, he mentioned thyroid because I've also gained weight recently for no apparent reason. So we'll see what the blood work turns up as well. But I'm still interested to hear if he has anything useful to say, what his opinion is. I will let you guys know as I continue these sleep videos. So I hope that was somewhat coherent. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye, guys.